Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's celebration. I'm disappointed we could not have it in person at the Faculty Center, but at least we're all gathered here today to honor and give our good gracious to all those winners from the past 2 years. My name is Aisha Dixon. I'm the director of the Emeriti Retiree Relations Center here at UCLA, and our office helps facilitate all the Emeriti Awards every year. So I'm really glad to say congratulations to all you winners. It's so good to see you, even if it's in a little 1x2 square box. And then hopefully we'll have a bigger party at the Faculty Center when they open. But congratulations to all of you. Sorry it's taken 2 years for us to get on Zoom, but I think this is a great place to start to have these celebrations. And right now I'm actually in the process of helping compile the winners for 2021 and 2022. So just like you, all the nominations are coming in. I'm going to send those out to the committee members and the interim vice provost to help select the winners for next year. And some of you are on the committee to help select your next year's winner. So thank you for serving in that capacity as well. So that's about me, a little bit about our department. We are a small team of just 3 of us. We help retire about 700 people every year from UCLA. And what that means is I work with human resources, David Lopez, the faculty liaison. Prior to Michael Levine's advancement, I worked with the Vice Chancellor of Academic Personnel, and our office helps coordinate the retiree process for our staff and faculty. We have about 16,000 retired faculty and staff that we work with. So without further ado, I want to introduce our first speaker. Ron Malore is going to introduce just a welcome and also introduce each of the awards. So Ron Malore received his doctorate in classics at Princeton in 1968. He first taught in the classics department at Stanford University, and since 1976 taught Greek and Roman history in the history department at UCLA. He's been a visiting fellow scholar at University College London, the Humanities Research Center of the Australian National University, the American Academy in Rome, and the Princeton Institute of Advanced Studies. He has held fellowships from the National Endowment for the Humanities and the American Council of Learned Societies. From 1992 to 1997, Malore was chair of the UCLA History Department, which brings faculty together for K through 12 teachers at 10 sites as a principal investigator of the California History Social Science Project. Malore was also the co-general editor of The World in Ancient Times, a series of 9 volumes of ancient world history for young readers published by the Oxford University Press. Along with his extensive services to UCLA, Malore served as the president of the UCLA Faculty Center in 2009-2010, and as the president of the Emeriti Association from 2018 to 2019. So Ron, thank you so much. Now you have to unmute yourself.
I will unmute. You're probably thinking, how could so many things have been accomplished by such a young looking guy? But I blame it all on having a family that supports me. You know, we have all been struggling toward normality in various ways. And the Emeriti Association has a number of ways in which we have been struggling toward normality. We have board meetings, we plan art exhibitions, we participate in the statewide group of Emeriti associations to ask questions of the regents, like about our medical plans, perhaps now whether the cost of living increases for inflation should go up. So we're out there doing things. And one of the most important things we do, of course, is to give awards to those enormously deserving faculty, retired faculty members, Emeriti, like yourselves, or like some of yourselves. Some of us are not getting awards today, but the important people are getting the awards. The Dixon Award, the Goldberg Award given at UCLA, and the Panunzio Award, which is given statewide, although it was endowed by a UCLA professor, in name of a UCLA professor, and also the occasional Emerita of the Year Award. And so we have met, our committees have met virtually. We have selected those of you who've won prizes. You have been told that under the chairmanship of our Provost and Academic Personnel, Vice Chancellor for Academic Personnel, Mike Levine, who I'm happy to see is here. And we did it again in 2021. And we again virtually made all of these decisions. So that 11 of you are here today getting these awards. And I just want to say that the board and the awards committee, which I had the honor of chairing for the last 2 or 3 years, have been, working away in our own small way. And we're going to have to read a whole bunch of dossiers. Now, I'm looking at you, and it's nice to see you because I've only known you from your dossiers and virtually in a way. But it's wonderful that you're here. It's wonderful that there are some colleagues who are here to observe you. It's wonderful that we're going to try to give you a small recognition of the enormous amount that you have contributed, that all Emeriti contribute to this university. So I think I'll pass it on.
Thank you so much. So next, I'm going to introduce this year's Emeriti Association President, Rosina Becerra. She retired in 2016 after 41 years in the Department of Social Welfare in the Luskin School of Public Affairs. She received her doctorate in social policy and management from the Heller School at Brandeis University in 1975. Her field of interest is in child and family policies. In addition to her federally funded research projects, she was a principal investigator for the state of California study on welfare reform from 92 to 97, as well as a statewide study on California child support from 98 to 2002. Her administrative positions have included department chair, associate dean, dean, and vice provost for faculty diversity. Since retirement, Professor Becerra has served on numerous university and academic senate committees, as well as serving as department chair of Spanish and Portuguese from 2018 to 2021. Here's what I found. That's Siri, sorry. She is now serving as the 2021-2022 president of the Emeriti Association. So Rosina, if you wanna just explain more about the Emeriti Association, and I will put the information in the chat as well.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Okay, welcome. Today, on behalf of the Emeriti Association, I welcome the friends, family, and colleagues and fellow Emeriti to this celebration of our awardees of the Panunzio, Dixon, and Goldberg Awards. As Ron pointed out, we usually have this celebration at our in-person Emeriti dinner. However, these past 2 years have not allowed us to come together as we would have liked. But we want to ensure that all our awardees receive the recognition they well deserve. These awards and awardees represent the incredible amount of service, teaching, research, and scholarly work that our Emeriti contribute to the institution, their professions, and the public domain, even after retirement. The Emeriti Association ensures that we continue to showcase, support, and advocate for our members, as well as to provide interesting and stimulating programming and events. As with everything else this past year, the events have been through Zoom, our online friend, and linked to the world from our home. But we have managed and have continued to look forward to our in-person gatherings that we expect to begin in the spring quarter. So I invite all Emeriti, if you have not done so already, to join the Emeriti Association today. If you are a first-time member, or over 85, we invite you to join at no expense. Otherwise, it is $20 a year. So go to our website and join with us today. But enough of the commercial. Let's get on with the celebration, Aisha.
Okay, thank you. Let me just, I gotta find Kathy on my screen. There we go, okay. So let me just pull up the slides. Give me 1 second. So now I will introduce our Interim Vice Provost for Academic Personnel, Kathleen Komar, who has been a faculty member at UCLA for more than 4 decades as Vice Chancellor Michael Levine's Special Assistant since 2016. Professor Komar advised on academic personnel matters, including merit equity reviews, promotions and advancements, and changes to personnel processes and regulations. She has also reviewed personnel dossiers that require additional comment and have received reviews for reviewing bodies on a particular area of her expertise. A prolific researcher, Professor Komar has published more than 120 articles and books on a variety of comparative topics, from Romanticism to the present, and focused on American and German literature. She is a recipient of numerous university honors, including the UCLA Distinguished Teaching Award, Staff Assemblies Faculty Impact Partnership Award, and the University of California's Oliver Johnson Award for Lifetime Service to the Academic Senate. So with that, I'm going to start today's web presentation. So I have a PowerPoint slide, and because we had so many great bios, Kathleen will read just a couple of sentences, and I will show the full bio on the screen. So let me just do my screen share. Okay. Okay. Did everyone see that okay? Can I get a thumbs up? Perfect. Okay. Let me see. Okay. So Kathy, if you want to start with our Dixon Award winners for 2019 and 2020.
Okay, I'm happy to be here. I'm actually delighted to see so many colleagues that I've worked either with or for or both over the past years. So I'm honored to be part of this celebration and hope one day, not too far in the future, to be part of your organization. So I'm delighted to read the descriptions of the Dixon Award recipients. The first one is Christopher B. Cooper from, this is a 2019-20 Dixon Award. Professor and Christopher Cooper is Professor Emeritus of Medicine and Physiology, who retired in 2016 after a distinguished career at UCLA as a clinical research physician and a medical educator. He's one of the world's preeminent respiratory physiologists focused on chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which you've all heard on television as COPD.
So I want to make sure I have enough time for people to read the entire bio. And then I also did include the links to them. So everyone should have a copy of everyone's extensive bio in today's program as well. Okay. We can go into Kendall.
Okay, our second Dixon Award recipient for 2019-20 is Kendall H. Hauk, the Saul Weinstein Distinguished Research Professor in Organic Chemistry, retired after 31 years at UCLA in 2016. Professor Hauk's activity since retirement has been at least equal to that of most of his senior colleagues, including over 180 publications in top research journals. Like so many of our colleagues, he continues to be incredibly active in his research activities.
And towards the end, when we have our awardees giving their thank you speech, I will go back to the slide so that in case you weren't able to see or read everything in the time allotted, you'll be able to at the end.
Our third Dixon Award recipient for 2019-20 is Pamela Monroe, Distinguished Research Professor of Linguistics. She's a specialist in documentation, analysis, preservation, and revitalization of Indigenous languages of the Americas. Over the course of her career, she's worked on almost 40 languages in the field of American Indigenous linguistics.
Okay, up next, we have the Carol E. Goldberg Award for 2019 and 2020. And this award is for service, was created in 2014 to recognize the extraordinary service by an Emeritus or Emerita Professor to the academic expertise after retirement. In 2019 and 2020, we had one Emeriti Professor selected for this award.
And that professor is M. Belinda Tucker. And I have to say that Belinda and I overlapped entirely in our undergraduate careers at the University of Chicago, but we never met until Claudia Mitchell-Kernan hired both of us to work in the graduate division. So I'm delighted to see Belinda's hard work awarded. Professor Emerita of Psychiatry and Biobehavioral Sciences, Belinda led negotiations that resulted in an initial UCLA administration investment of $10 million to make structural repairs to the Faculty Center building, which we hope to visit soon. In addition to these laudable service activities, she also serves on the boards of the Center for Diverse Leadership in Science, UCLA Institute for the Environment and Sustainability, and the We Global Study of African Americans Living Abroad, and the Institute of Social Research, University of Michigan.
Okay. Up next is the Constantine Panunzio Award winner for 2019 and 2020. And this was a bequest from Professor Panunzio. It honors outstanding scholarly work from or educational service performed since retirement in the School of Humanities or Social Science. The 2019 award was awarded to two professors, one from our backyard of UCLA School of Law and the other from UC San Francisco.
And our award winner from UCLA is my former dean, Herb Morris, Professor Emeritus of Philosophy and Law. During his career at UCLA, Professor Morris did distinguished work in philosophy and legal theory, writing transformative essays on issues of punishment and guilt, and and on Dostoevsky. Kill that. Sorry, Herb. He made a profound contribution to knowledge, highlighting intersections of scholarship, and has become a highly regarded critic of literature and visual arts.
Up next is the Emerita of the Year Award for 2020.
And this award goes to Victoria Steele. From 1974, Vicki Steele directed at different times all of UCLA's special collection libraries, including YRL Special Collections and the William Andrews Clark Library. She was recognized as Librarian of the Year in 2006, and after retirement, Vicki was recalled in 2018 as curator of UCLA's public art collection and created an inventory of all UCLA's campus artworks, which are extensive.
So moving on to this past year's winner for the Dixon Award for 2020 and 2021.
Our first awardee for 2020-2021 is Benjamin Bonavida, Distinguished Research Professor of Microbiology, Immunology, and Molecular Genetics, who retired in 2011 after a distinguished career involving research in basic immunochemistry and cancer immunobiology, teaching focused on the immunology of cancer, and he mentored undergraduates, graduates, and postdoctoral fellows. and service to UCLA and the campus scientific community was extensive.
Warwick Peacock.
Our second awardee is Warwick Peacock, Professor Emeritus of Neurosurgery, retired in 2005, having served for many years as Chief of Pediatric Neurosurgery. Dr. Peacock has a plan to teach surgical anatomy and cadaver-based surgical techniques in a surgical science laboratory to surgical residents, and was recalled to be the lab's founding director when teaching commenced in 2011. In this pioneering effort, he has comprehensively revolutionized human anatomy instruction at UCLA with a state-of-the-art program.
Okay, and Donald Shupe.
And our third awardee is Donald Shupe, Distinguished Professor Emeritus of Urban Planning, retired from the Department of Urban Planning in 2015. He's considered the world's leading academic expert on policies, planning, travel impacts, environmental and social dimensions of parking, which, as we know, is crucial in Los Angeles. His analyses have led to policy changes adopted in various cities and they have been emulated throughout Europe and Asia.
Okay. Up next, we have the Goldberg winners from 2021 and 2022.
And the first is Josephine B. Isabelle Jones, Professor Emerita of Pediatrics, retired in 2003 after a long career at the UCLA David Geffen School of Medicine, where she was dedicated to empowering others, particularly those at a socioeconomic disadvantage. She has continuously championed equity, inclusivity, and diversity in our medical school. Dr. Isabelle Jones, who has long been a popular teacher, continued to do rounds, received multiple awards, such as the 2009 Lifetime Achievement Award from the Association of Black Women Physicians.
And last but not least, for this Goldberg Award for 2021.
And our last awardee is Paul Ong, Professor Emeritus of Urban Planning and Asian American Studies, retired in 2017 after 3 decades of interdisciplinary social science, teaching, policy-focused applied research, and engagement with the community, as well as with policymakers, enabling significant change. In retirement, his advocacy continued, and Professor Ong's commitment to research as service came to a high point during the pandemic, with actionable policy research addressing the twin crises of the coronavirus and racial injustice.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. I'm now going to open it up for our winners to say a couple words. Because we do have so many in attendance, I want to ask you to limit your speech to about 2 minutes at the most. So I'll start with Dixon 2019-2020, Professor Cooper.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say I'm honored to receive this award in recognition of my scholarly work at UCLA. Since retirement, I came to UCLA as a Fulbright scholar from the UK in 1987, and I was recruited as a full-time faculty associate professor of medicine and physiology in 1992. And I subsequently obtained my California physician's license and practiced medicine here, as well as my academic endeavors. I've been here ever since, and I only once visited the United States before coming to UCLA, and that was I came to Los Angeles in 1975 when I was a medical student at St. Thomas's Hospital Medical School in London. For a long time, I thought Los Angeles was a typical American city, but how wrong I was. And Los Angeles is, in my mind, an exceptional city, and UCLA is certainly an exceptional university. And I feel very fortunate to have had the opportunity to forge my career in such a powerful academic environment and in the company of such wonderful academic colleagues. So UCLA is my academic home, and I feel so privileged to have been able to serve here. I continue to work as a core educator, being involved in the reimagined medical school curriculum, currently teaching the first-year medical students, and I participate in several NIH-funded research projects. One is our COPD cohort study, for which I wrote the grant originally back in 2009, and we're looking forward to our third cycle of funding for this project. And finally, I established a pulmonary function reading center to assist in NIH-sponsored clinical research projects where we monitor patients' lung function at home using digital technologies. I think this is going to be the way forward in clinical research to enable patient follow-up without necessitating the burden of visits to pulmonary function laboratories or study sites. So again, I want to express my sincere thanks to the awards committee and also to the UCLA Emeriti Association. And it's great to see some familiar faces on the call today. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have next Professor Hook. Oh, hang on, it's that dreaded mute button.
Got it. Thank you very much for the award. I'm very honored to be part of this outstanding group of Emeriti. What a great group. It's wonderful to be part of that. So UCLA is a wonderful place to be an emeritus, as it is to be an active faculty member or a student for that matter, or an athlete. I've retired in 2016, but I'm still going about the same pace as before retirement. I still have a research group here in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, and I have 26 people working in my group. And I still have about half dozen grad students, although they're shared with other faculty. And I have a number of postdocs and a lot of visiting scholars come to my group, both faculty and students from other countries, especially China. So because of the pandemic and my field, which is theoretical organic chemistry, namely computational organic chemistry, we've kept going strongly even when we were not permitted to come into the laboratory. And in fact, in a way, it's been better because one can do computations from anywhere. I used to joke you can do it from the beach if you want, but not so convenient to take your laptop there. But people do it from home and from other countries. So people who weren't able to come to the United States because of the pandemic were still able to join my group. And I had at one time about 10 people in China working with me, and as well as the people who are here at UCLA. And now that the pandemic is on its decline, we hope, my research group is about half in residence here in our labs and about half still in other countries or other states or are staying at home for reasons of health. And because of that, we're still being extremely productive. All of our work is done on computers. We had 80 publications last year in top journals, Science, Nature, Journal of the American Chemical Society, other places like that. And my group continues to do studies of organic chemistry and biochemistry using computational methods. So we use the tools of quantum mechanics and molecular dynamics to study how reactions happen. And we also have extensive collaborations with colleagues, experimental colleagues who we work with to try to understand their results, but also to make predictions about how they can do additional experiments. And especially in our department, E. Tong, Miguel Garcia-Garibay, Neil Garg are among my best collaborators with whom I publish many papers. And so we're continuing to go on as usual. I still teach physical organic chemistry, but now only 1 quarter a year instead of every quarter like in the good old days. So we're continuing to try to bring fame and fortune to UCLA through grants and to continue pushing back the frontiers of science. So thanks again for this award. Thanks to Rosina for the wonderful wine basket. I'm enjoying parts of that every day. And thanks to all of you for listening.
Thank you so much. So to fill everyone else in, the Emeriti Association sent out thank you gift baskets or congratulatory gift baskets to all the winners here. So hopefully you have your bottle next to you with your glass, and then we'll do a toast later, and that there was some good snacks in there. I think Rosina and I struggled for a couple days deciding white versus red, but it's a good mix. So enjoy. So up next, Professor Monroe.
Hi, everybody, and I'll join in the thanks to Rosina. That was really lovely. I retired in 2011, and for the first 2 years after I retired, I continued a full-time teaching load, filling in gaps that the department had. Some of those classes I wish I could have continued longer. I taught my last regular class in 2017. And then I taught a Fiat Lux seminar in 2019, and I'll probably do that again. I really love teaching, but I have gone on with teaching because I currently teach 2 community classes for people who are interested in languages that aren't widely taught. One of them is Tongva, the original language of Los Angeles, and which has not actually been spoken by anybody for probably 70 years, but we luckily have documentation on it. And the other one is a language of Central America, one of the languages that I've been working on for many, many years, in that case, about 30. My current work since retirement, since full retirement, is to continue working with these wonderful languages. Almost all the languages that I work on are endangered, meaning that they are losing speakers faster than they are gaining them, faster than children are learning the language. And in many cases, there are no children learning the languages. And this work is important because it contributes to our body of knowledge of different things languages can do, different types of grammar. And it's also important for those communities which may not have very good resources on their languages for preserving and hopefully continuing to teach them. I'm now working on writing grammars of 3 languages. In one case, it's a revision, but 2 other new ones. And I'm working on 3 separate dictionaries of different languages. And right now I'm engaged in a project that I've come back to a number of times over the years, which is studying UCLA student slang. So I'm currently processing 500 emails from students in our Linguistics 1 class, each telling me 3 slang expressions which they use, and there's a remarkable number of them. Some of them, as many as 50 students have suggested it, but many of the expressions only 1 or 2 students have suggested. And so this is going to contribute to a guest lecture I'm giving in that class next month, and a little collection of student slang that, isn't going to be published or anything, but it's pretty fun. And if you email me, I would be happy to send you a copy of it when I'm done. So I want to say thank you again for this wonderful award, which was really just a real pleasure to be recognized in this way. And I'd like to congratulate everybody else. And I want to thank Aisha for facilitating everything so nicely. Thanks very much.
Thank you. If you have a class that you're teaching or a course and you want me to send out a link for everyone else, I'll be sending the slides after today's program, also with the YouTube recording link. So if you have something you want to share with your colleagues, please feel free to send me a link telling us what you're up to, what you're working on for your next, your second act in retirement, and I'll be glad to share it with the group. So up next is our Carol Goldberg Award, Professor Tucker. Let me find you. There you go.
Good afternoon. I am so delighted to be here today, sharing this moment with so many revered colleagues. Not only did Kathleen and I go to college together, and that seems like a century ago. But I knew Paul Ong when he was a graduate student here at UCLA. So this is truly a gratifying moment. I thank Aisha, of course, the Emeriti Association, its members, its board, and President Rosina Becerra for this truly humbling honor. And I also want to express my gratitude for that incredible wine and snacks basket. I wish you all could see it. I'm also glad to see that so many of you decided to forego the Rams victory parade for this opportunity to pay tribute to such a distinguished organization and these various special awards. I feel exceedingly fortunate to have spent nearly my entire professional career at what, I think we can all agree is the best public university on the planet. Having been raised in a tiny steel and coal mining town outside of Pittsburgh, where academic careers were simply not even envisioned, earning a PhD in and of itself was an achievement for me, already far beyond my wildest dreams. So a coveted job at UCLA, marrying and raising a family in Southern California, being a part of this grand community, it was all simply gravy to me. I want to talk in my remaining few seconds about all the people I really am grateful for, all the people I have to thank for this honor. First, that I came to UCLA at all is due to the faith and investment of one single individual, now my dearest friend, Claudia Mitchell-Kernan. She hired me, and surely she knew that I was more than ready to leave Michigan's frigid climate. But she hired me and has mentored me throughout the many stages of my career, including retirement. But I also stand on the shoulders of so many who, for my entire life, have essentialized service and community, which is what this Goldberg Award is all about. It begins with the women, including my mother in that tiny town that I grew up in, who challenged us to achieve despite, and I think perhaps because of, their own meager circumstances and opportunities. Here at UCLA, Claudia, Dr. Isabelle Jones, who is an especially inspiring honoree today, people like Jane Permal, who is, on every board imaginable following retirement. This award's namesake, Carol Goldberg, and so many others here. My Michigan mentors, including James Jackson and Pat Gurin, who some of you know, they have all modeled active, meaningful, engaged, and impactful retirement. The specific activities for which I have been recognized in this award were certainly challenging, but as in any stage in life, I think the key to success in any endeavor is being surrounded by exceptional people who know how to take care of business. So I am especially grateful for every single member of the Faculty Center, now Club, of course, Board of Governors, our amazing general manager, Luciano Sauto, and all of my predecessors, including especially Claudia, who got the ball rolling toward reinvention. All these people worked tirelessly to create a magnificent and brilliant new future for such a treasured institution. So I'm going into campaign mode here. I'm encouraging all of you to continue your support of the Faculty Center upon its reopening. To use, maybe an antiquated but wholly appropriate term, I can assure you that you are going to be gobsmacked by our new home. I also want to thank now acting EVC, Mike Levine, and his staff, with whom I've had the great pleasure to work with in this post-retirement era. The opportunity to work with his outstanding team to affect change was also gratifying. So I know that there are many individuals on this campus who are far more deserving of me than this honor, but I am so grateful for your thoughtfulness and your esteem.
Thank you so much. I don't think I saw Herbert Morris here. I see Robert Morris, but that looks like a different guy. So I won't throw it to you, Robert. Let me see if Herbert joined. I don't think he did. Okay. So we'll thank him on our behalf. I'll email him later. So let's move on to the Merit of the Year. Oh, Claudia, you have your hand up? You're on mute.
My internet went down and I can't seem to get back on.
You are on.
Well, I don't see anybody.
Hmm.
We can see you, so we have to troubleshoot
Well,
that.
don't let me disrupt.
Okay. All right. Victoria?
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to see everyone. I can't wait to see you soon in person at the faculty club. Belinda, thanks for that shout out. We can't wait for the reopening. It's going to be great. Thank you also to Rosina. I have my basket to show everybody. Isn't that cool? And I guess I just want to build on something that Dr. Monroe was saying about keeping her hand in with teaching. I taught a Fiat Lux seminar in the fall quarter around our campus public art collection. So I could actually really use that slang dictionary that you've been compiling. Thanks to everybody for this lovely award. I'm very touched, Ron, for the nomination. And it's just a privilege to be in the company of so many outstanding colleagues. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Next, going to Professor Bonavida. I'm glad you wore your signature
Yes.
hat.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I'm not going to bother everybody with my research. Has been primarily on cancer immunobiology, basically interested in checking why many patients do not respond to the cancer immune response and how to overcome that. So basically, I just want to say a few words about the award. I'm indeed overwhelmed with gratitude to have been selected to receive the 2020-2021 Edward A. Dixon Emeritus Professorship Award and Prize. Thank you all so much for being here to share this very important occasion. I'm also very honored to have my various professional activities recognized by the Emeritus Professorship Award Selection Committee that is chaired by Vice Chancellor Michael S. Levine. It means so much to me that the work that I am so passionate about also resonates with others. This accomplishment is not something that I did alone, and there are many others who deserve to share this award with me. I would like to thank the various students, fellows, who really worked diligently with me in various research projects and publications, the various scientific publishers with whom I serve as an editor, the co-instructors in my graduate courses, and especially Professor Jerome Zach, chairman of my department, MIMG, for providing me with continuous support at all levels. I would also like to thank my wife and my 2 children and their spouses and grandchildren for their love and support throughout my whole academic career, and particularly after my retirement. I'm also particularly blessed by my wife, who has allowed me to spend all the time I needed to accomplish my various activities in a compassionate and accepting ways. I also like to thank all of my collaborators all over the world and friends who have inspired me and to whom I cherish their advices. Last but not least, thank you, the UCLA Emeriti Association, for offering the Dixon Award in recognition of scientists like myself. I do hope that this recognition of my work can serve as an inspiration to others in the field. I will continue my efforts to promote my teaching and research activities and international collaborations, and to expand my experiences worldwide for the benefit of mankind for many years to come. I am sincerely very humbled and appreciative. Thank you so much for this prestigious award. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. I just want to say I love the comments that are coming in the chat. You all should be very honored, and thank you for your relatives and loved ones sharing in the chat about how proud they are, and congratulations to everyone. Okay, Warwick, Professor Peacock, I saw you and we talked earlier.
Unmute.
Oh, there we go. Found you.
Oh, thanks very much, Aisha, and thank you for helping me out this afternoon. I came to UCLA in 1986 from South Africa, where I trained as a pediatric neurosurgeon, and I started the pediatric neurosurgery service at UCLA, operating on children with brain tumors, children with hydrocephalus, and children suffering from intractable seizures, and also from cerebral palsy. It kept me very busy, and I retired a little early in 2005 and was able to take up a hobby that I'd always had, and that was anatomy, the anatomy of the human body. I got my first Gray's Anatomy when I was 11 years old, which shows I'm a little bit crazy, but I've always loved anatomy ever since then. And my family, I must thank, for putting up with the smell of formalin when I come home from the lab every day. But I was able to put into action my love for anatomy when I retired. I was at our complications round one Wednesday morning, and I was sitting there thinking, you know, these complications really could be avoided if our young surgeons really knew their anatomy. And so I went to the dean, and he didn't want any more anatomy labs. He said they smell and they cause lots of trouble. So I just kept at him, and eventually he conceded, and we had our anatomy lab built. It's like a huge operating room with 5 operating tables in it, wonderful lighting and instruments. And what we do is teach the young surgeons their anatomy, which they learned many years before at medical school. And I think for a surgeon to know their anatomy is very important. But in the lab, we also teach surgical technique, so that instead of a young resident arriving in the operating room to operate on a patient, they've operated on many dead bodies before that and learned the surgical technique. So it's been a wonderful experience for me. I didn't do this on my own either. I have had the help of John Hyatt, the Vice Dean for faculty in the medical school, and he helped me get the show on the road. And then John Maziotta, the Vice Chancellor of the medical school, has really been there whenever I've needed him. He's never flinched when I've asked for finances or equipment. And last year, we were able to bring on a second lab, the same size as the first lab. So we have now 10 operating tables. We use over 100 specimens every year. And I think we've been able to show that we've cut down the complication rate, and our surgeons feel much more confident. I have in the lab with me Dr. Grace Chang, who is a general surgeon who helps me with everything in the lab, and others, many others who have helped me. But my wife and my children have put up with all those long years of me being away in the operating room, but at last we get to spend some time together. So thank you very much indeed for this wonderful award. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the basket. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Professor Shupe.
When I learned about the spectacular post-retirement careers of today's 2 other Dixon Award recipients, I was grateful 3 awards were available. I feel honored to be in their company. In comparison, my research on parking probably sounds like watching paint dry, but parking is a big deal for UCLA Emeriti. Some of you are probably old enough to remember when Emeriti got two big parking benefits when they retired. First, parking permits for Emeriti were free for life. Second, Emeriti received X permits that allow us to park anywhere on campus, including in Lot A next to the faculty club. UCLA's X permits are reserved for the most senior administrators and are almost like a knighthood on campus. So getting an X permit was a big deal for the Emeriti. I often notice quite a few Emeriti X permits in Lot A at lunchtime. But in 1991, the UCLA Parking Service built another catastrophically expensive parking structure. To help pay for it, the Parking Service decided to charge the Emeriti $500 a year for parking permits. To soften the blow, the Parking Service charged $50 in the first year and planned to increase it by $50 a year in each subsequent year until it reached $500. The Emeriti reacted like hounds from hell. Imagine hundreds of angry, articulate, retired professors united around a common grievance. When it comes to paying for parking, rational people quickly become emotional, and staunch conservatives become ardent communists. English professors who had dedicated their lives to UCLA said charging Emeriti for parking was a slap in the face after a lifetime of work. Law professors whose skill is to win arguments explained the grave injustice of charging Emeriti for parking. But the Parking Service wanted the money to subsidize the new parking structure. The permit fee went up to $100 the next year and $150 the third year. The Faculty Welfare Committee then sent me the huge file of Emeriti letters and asked me to make the case for free parking, which is not my usual recommendation. But I knew enough about parking economics to show that retired professors should not pay for the Parking Service's hugely expensive new parking structure. The compromise was to keep the price of an Emeriti X permit at $150 a year with no further increases. The price of an Emeriti permit is almost three decades later still $150 a year. And the price of a regular X permit is now $1,900 a year. So the Emeriti get a 92% discount. I don't think I deserve an award for this, but I do enjoy the cheap parking anywhere on campus. I'm grateful to Brian Taylor and Marty Wax, who nominated me for the Dixon Award. Marty won this award in 2017, but sadly he died last year before the 2021 award was announced. His wife, Helen, is with us today, so I'd like to thank her. I'm also grateful to the board of members of the Emeriti Association and the staff of the Emeriti Center for all their hard and never-ending work on behalf of the Maritime. Carol Goldberg, who has done so much for so many Emeriti, smooths my own retirement. I think UCLA is the best university in the country to be retired from. After I became an emeritus, one of my students was so impressed by the title, he congratulated me on the promotion. He then added, UCLA should have done this years ago. Thank you so much for including me in this wonderful group today.
Thank you so much, Professor Shupe. Up next, Professor Isabelle Jones.
Yes, here I am. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to read my statement, which is all of about 3 minutes, so not too much over your 2-minute suggestion. Well, first of all, I'm honored and humbled really to receive the Carol E. Goldberg Service Award, Emeritus Service Award for 2021. But as many of you who know me know that I am not comfortable with being awarded or celebrated for things that I have done because I have trouble seeing the things I accomplish as extraordinary. The things I have done are not really about me, but rather about the privileges that I have had to be used as sort of a channel of good energy. I would guess many of you can acknowledge that there is some force that is greater than any one of us human beings, a force that motivates us from what we cannot really claim as our own. I call it Soul Force, as described by a great friend and mentor. At the end of my initial retirement in 2003, I felt there probably was more that I could do and was supposed to give back, having had such an unimaginable, amazing career at UCLA. I was reminded really of the story of David, who had killed Goliath. You will recall the giant. As the story goes, David would succeed at many challenges, winning victory after victory, or if you will, award after award, wherever he went and whatever he did. However, after all of the power he gained, he made a mistake. He made a mistake. He lingered on the mountaintop too long. He relaxed in the accolades of his successes. It may be hard to stay grounded when everybody seems to think that you're special, but we must. And I have learned that if we have achieved some success, we may appropriately celebrate and accept congratulations for the moment, but we must keep moving. We must come down from the mountaintops and humbly continue to serve others in any capacity that we can. I'm grateful to UCLA to have had the opportunity to do both. For many mountaintop experiences at UCLA, but back to the ground to do more work. And I'm going to acknowledge some people who probably, at least one of whom is here on this Zoom celebration, who helped me in my endeavors to stay grounded, if you will. First, Dr. Sharon DeVasco, chair of the Department of Pediatrics, by putting me back to work, to the ground, to do work. Just as I had one foot out the door to my second retirement, she kind of pushed me very gently to start the first faculty diversity committee at David Geffen School of Medicine. Then there was Dr. Belinda Tucker, my immediate predecessor for this award, who directed me as to how to get the tools and connections from North Campus to start, with the help of Dr. Valencia Walker, our workshop, Idea on Diversity. Idea on diversity meaning intergroup dialogue to enhance action on diversity. So we took off with this idea, this workshop, which is based on explorations of implicit bias amongst our faculty and our trainees. And we must admit that it went very well. In other words, it spread. The idea of having a faculty diversity committee in other departments came forth. So my current activities, now that I've been fully retired for almost 2 years now, I've continued to work with the health committee on my sorority, and I acknowledge the presence I see of several of them on this call. Thank you. I've continued work in my church on an administrative committee that's almost equal to being fully employed, my husband reminds me, but a great pleasure to have the opportunity to serve in that way. And I continue counseling with pre-med students, med students, and students who ever think I may have something to share with them to encourage them. And these are all pleasures in this season of my real retirement. I'm thankful to all of the committee, all of those who supported my nomination for this award. I'm really humbled again to receive the award and to be in the company of such dynamic and distinguished other awardees. And just give you thanks for this opportunity. Congratulations to the other awardees. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me get to last but not least, Professor Ong. I have these two monitors, but I saw him here earlier. Let me see where he went.
I'm here.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay, I'll make it short since we're past our time.
Thank you to the association for this honor, but I'm particularly very grateful to my family, friends, colleagues, students, and staff who produced over 4 dozen policy briefs on the pandemic and racial inequality. And mostly they did it without any compensation because they had a passion, a commitment. I think their work, their collective work, has enabled UCLA to fulfill what I consider a moral responsibility to generate the insights and knowledge that can guide and shape a vision and actions that will bend history towards social justice. And I am grateful to the university and my friends, colleagues, and others to have had that opportunity to do that over the last year and two. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to the association. And thank you and congratulations to the other winners.
Well, again, thank you all for coming. I know we want to do one last thank you and a toast from Rosina. So after the toast, I can leave the Zoom open. You're more than welcome to keep the dialogue going with your colleagues. Again, a big hearty congratulations to you all. Thank you for coming this afternoon. Rosina, do you want to have a toast? I don't have a glass. I have a tea with my favorite owl.
My dog barking in the background. Well, we've come to the end of our program. So I would like to toast all of you, all of our awardees. Please join me in saluting them and thanking you for all of your outstanding contributions. A toast to your continued productivity and healthy future. Salute.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. As I mentioned, if you have anything that you want me to share with the others about what projects you're working on or what websites you've built or created, please send me the link. You should have my email address by now, so you can send me over what you're working on. I'll be glad to share it with everyone. This will be posted on our YouTube channel. We have a whopping 45 subscribers. So please feel free to share that with your loved ones. If they didn't get a chance to see you today, they can watch the presentation on YouTube. Well, thank you. And Michael Levine, thank you for coming. I really appreciate you being here. That's all. You don't have to say anything. I promised him you didn't have to talk. So I don't want to go back on that. All right, so meet, mingle, drink, be merry. Any questions for any of our awardees? Personally, Professor Monroe, I want to hear about the slang that you're working on, because I hear some words and I have no idea. And I don't think I'm that old. So I'm curious as to what the slang is that you're hearing, because I have no idea what some of it means.
There's lots of words that they're using that I have encountered over the many years that I've been doing this. I started doing it in 1983, but the last time I did one of these massive Linguistics 1 surveys was in 2009. And so there's lots and lots of new words since then, probably some of the ones you hear.
Yeah.
So on that topic, I have a question for Dr. Monroe. What is the current UCLA slang for an easy class?
Oh.
We used to call it, back in the day, it was called a mick, and then it was called a gut. I don't know why. What is it called now?
Nobody has suggested that particular definition, so I have a new word. I mean, so it isn't that I tell them a list of things I want to know words for. I say, tell me 3 words that you think are in use at UCLA. And, they've given me tons and tons of words, probably many hundred by now, but that is not one of the definitions that's come up yet. So I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, not at all. So share with us a particular favorite that you got.
The one that is very puzzling to me is the word mood. I mean, so most of these are real words that are used in unusual ways. So, you know, I mean, we all know what a mood is, but apparently it is now current among UCLA students that if somebody says something that you can really relate to, all you have to do to tell them, you know, that sounds like something I understand, you just say to them mood.
Oh, that's interesting.
And, you know, that's one that struck me as really quite amazing. I don't know whether anybody else here has heard that. We're all pretty old. Except for Aisha.
Well, loads of mood to all the other awardees today because they're so incredible.
So I do have a question. I don't think Professor Morris is here. Sai was asking about hearing from him, but I don't think he's here today. So any other questions for any other awardees about their current projects and what they've been working on since retirement? I love how Belinda and Kathy went to college together. That's such a small world.
Did Professor Morris make a comment? I thought I saw a comment. Maybe he just came in at the end of the ceremonies.
Well, I didn't see him, but if he's here,
yes,
he
speak
can
up.
definitely speak. So yeah, any other, yeah, I see Claudia, you have a question, or Yvonne?
Oh, me? No, I just wanted to say congratulations to everyone and especially to Dr. Elizabeth Jones.
Did you have a question, Claudia? I think she said no. You're on mute. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording so we can keep talking.